YouTube, Beef Smokehouse back here with you, and today we're going to be making some French onion soup. Now, this recipe actually started 2 days ago, so Friday night I made a nice smoky beef stock. I'll be showcasing that here shortly. A few reasons why I did that. The gelatin is none present in that beef stock that you buy from the grocery stores. Now, gelatin will give a nice umami and mouth texture when we make this onion soup. Of course, since this is an onion soup, we've got about, a dozen to a little bit over a dozen of yellow onions. I'm going to start breaking these down as we showcase this beautiful French onion flavor and flair. Now, my French onion soup may not be like what you're accustomed to. However, I'm using what I have here in my house and those products that were available in my local grocery store. So, follow me as I break these yellow onions down. Alright? I'll do one or two here on camera. So, you got one pole and you got the other pole. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut it down straight in the middle from pole to pole. As I do this, I will be cleaning my area. So we're going to go, see that? We're going to get the outside skin and that first layer of onion peel off. It's usually the toughest. So these onions and all onions belong to the alum family. It's the same family that you can find garlic in. Generally, when you're cutting them, some people say you need the sharpest knife possible. That's just a good, it's just a good rule to go by to keep knife sharp in your kitchen. That's what we're looking for. Alright, I've got that very tough first outer skin off. Alright, we'll do the same with this other half. You guys gotta excuse me. My team is currently playing right now. My team is blacked out here where I'm at, so I'm having to keep up using one of the apps, the mini apps I use for sports. Alright, so again, we got two halves. This will go in the trash can. Have you ever had French onion soup? How do you like your French onion soup? Tell me down below in the comments. Now, I like to cut this off. That's one pole that's off. That's another pole that's off. Again, trash. Go here and here. Now, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to slice mine. Alright, so we're going to go here. Can you see that? Then, once we start getting awkward with the cuts, we're going to flip it over and slice until we can't slice anymore. Alright. Then, this does not have to be perfect. These onions are going to cook down so much that the cut on them, the dice on them, doesn't have to be perfect. Alright, let's get these out of the way. So again, real simple. Flip it. And for me, real simple. I've got a bowl here on the side. I'll be collecting all my diced onion. Alright, I've got about a dozen to dice up. I'll bring you guys back when I'm getting to the end of that so we can get this recipe started. Stay tuned. Cut up, right? These are going to stay here in a bowl. I'm going to show you guys the other items I've already prepared, right? Let's talk about this beautiful beef stock that I made, right? The difference. The beef stocks that you find in your local grocery stores is not going to be like this. So you can say this is a mixture of bone broth and beef broth. Why? I chose those beef portions, those beef parts that still have the bone tied to them. I went in with actually 1 pack of large oxtails. I had one portion of ossobuco, raw of course, with the bone still in. You could actually see the bone marrow on that. And then I also went in with about 4 large short ribs. I smoked those off. They stayed on my smoker anywhere between 225, 250 for about 2.5, 3 hours. And then I brought them in. I got them to a large stock pot. I'll insert some of that footage here. And then they slowly simmered overnight. I went and laid down. This was Friday afternoon or Friday night, Saturday morning. So now, why did I use those pieces? Those pieces have collagen. Soups need a body. This gelatin, aka collagen, will provide that. You see, it's a liquid and it will reconstitute as soon as this jelly hits the heat. Right now, if you don't have the timing or availability to do this, here's what I would do. I would simply either buy powdered beef bouillon or a liquid beef bouillon from the store. Before you leave that store, you need to get some of those Knorr gelatin packets. Put you 1 or 2 gelatin packets, heat said liquid up. You can follow the instructions on the back of those powdered stock packages. Get you 1 or 2 packages of that gelatin inside of that broth. Again, we're going to bring some body to this party. This also makes for an unctuous / umami having broth, right? And we're going to introduce some other things that are not traditionally used in a French onion soup to introduce more umami. So here we go. This is our beautiful beef stock. What I did do off camera, the fat came to the top and settled and solidified. I've pulled that off. I'm going to use that fat to toast off my bread, which I also made last night. Let's get these out of the way. And let me show you what that bread is looking like. Now, I gotta state that last night when I made this French baguettes, aka French bread, I was in a bit of a rush, so I did not worry about the shaping, right? I could have been a bit better on my shaping, but you hear it, it's solid. This has been setting out at room temperature, and you want that because it makes a harder crust. We're still going to toast this off. Now I'm going to go ahead and get these sliced and just ready for the toasting. A lot of this stuff will be known in the method of French cooking as mise en place. That means I've got everything prepared and in place. Much like Asian or Korean food, right? You using high heats and stuff. We're not using that high heat. However, I don't want to be cooking something and then turning my back and preparing something else. So everything currently is prepared. I'm going to go ahead and slice these up, and I'll bring you guys back when we're done. All right, we're back. Again, I got my bread loaf here, French baguette. I baked off 2. There are many uses for these. You can bake them off, make some croutons. So this is more like the casserole / French dish that I'm going to be using. There will be the French onion soup in here. We'll top it off with a few pieces of this bread and then top that off with some cheese. Now, we're going to take some middle sections of this bread, get down in there. Again, I got a serrated bread knife, all right? And so I'm going to, all right, this is the piece for this that we'll be working with. So now, bit of an awkward shape, but look at the crumb on that. It's awesome. So let's see. I want to do this before we get to. Can you see that? They fit, right? Some of these might get a bit bigger. I'm okay with that. And so we're going to get these toasted off even before we use them. I'll get a few more cut. I'll bring you guys back once we're getting ready to move to the next step. I'll show you guys everything that I have prepared. Recipe. Of course, we've got those yellow onions. We've got smoked Gouda. That's what I'll be rolling with today. I've got fish sauce for that umami. I've got white wine. I've also got vermouth. I've got 2 fresh bay leaves. I got a Garnique bouquet, right? So this is thyme and rosemary. I've got some butter to get those onions started. I've got some Dove sauce. I've got my beautiful smoky beef bone broth. Right? I've got some salt, got some pepper. Of course, I've got that fat that I scraped off of here. This is how we're going to toast our baguettes to get them that nice crunch when it's time to do so. Today, we're going to be cooking on my little hot plate, right? I don't fancy messing dishes up if I don't have to. This prevents me from having to clean the whole oven. Let me get all this stuff out of the way. I'll bring you guys back so we can go ahead and get this excellent recipe started. All right, let's get this recipe started. I'm going in with the butter. It's going to help get my onions started breaking down. I definitely don't want it burning. So now we're going to go in with our onions. Hopefully I can get all of these in this pan. All right, real simple. But of course, it's already smelling good. I don't want nothing to go to waste. Let's get in there. What I may have to do is, if I have too many here, as these cook down, might have to do them in batches, but I think we can get them all to fit. Absolutely. It's a lot, but I think it'll work. This video is going to be a bit longer than normal, which leaves me with more editing to do. Few nice healthy helpings. I do really want to control the amount of saltiness because this is going on onions. I'm not really worried right now because again, we're going to try and cook out some of that moisture. Alright, that's about it. Alright, it's been right at about 35 minutes. You can see these onions have withered down, still giving up more moisture. We had a lot of onions here. So as soon as this moisture starts evaporating, we'll get a bit of frying going on. And I'll turn this fire down, let these onions brown accordingly, nice and slow. Onions are nice and soft and they've given up a lot of that moisture. They're starting to caramelize. We're going to give them a good mix. Starting to smell pretty good. Alright. I think we can get some more color out of these. Minus the things we're going to put in here that's going to add to that deep, dark, rich color and deep, dark, rich flavor. Alright. So now I'm going to go in and start adding my seasonings. I'm going to go in with some black pepper. Got this is my fish sauce. Bringing that umami, you can smell it already. And with a few shots of W sauce. I'm gonna go ahead and deglaze with my vermouth and my white wine. Now I'm going to give that alcohol a chance to cook out of this. Deepening these flavors is going to assist with the caramelization. Good mix. Like I said, I think we can get some more color out of these yellow onions. Smells good. Notice I didn't use much of that fish sauce. Scraping these sides down. I don't really want to be able to leave anything in this pan. Okay. I'll still hit it with a little bit more salt. Nice generous pinch or two. We're seasoning in layers. Smelling good. That W sauce is also going to help with some additional flavor and darken the color of these onions up, right? It's taking a while, but again, I knew going in this is going to be the longest portion of this cook. So I am now going to go in with a bit of my stock. Now I'm not going to use all of this. That's about a good half a cup. So these onions have given up a lot of their sugars. Tastes absolutely delicious. So I'm going to get this fire turned off. This is going to sit here. I'll put a top on this while I start preparing the other portions of this dish. Other portions, that bread, you've got to get it oiled up. I told you guys I'm going to use some of that fat pulled off of that beautiful beef stock that we used, right? And we're going to take that and smear it over that bread, get them toasted off in the oven. So this is going to sit here. Let me get a top on. I'll bring you guys back when I'm ready to proceed to the next step. Stay tuned. Alright, so now I've got my croutons. I've got this fat that I pulled off of the top of that beef stock. Remember, in that beef stock, we had short ribs, we had oxtails, and we had ossobuco, which is a beef shank. So in this fat, you have collagen, you have, of course, the fat that is solidified. You also have some of that beef marrow. This is going to be quite delicious, but we're going to use this as a butter to get these bread ends toasted off, right? So I'm going to just spread it on here, much like a mayonnaise. All right. Now, I don't want to go overboard with this because I don't want to have these just sitting in fat like that, right? Again, something a bit unique, a bit different than just toasting off some of these bread ends, right? Currently I have my oven preheating to 375. I'll get these toasted off. This Gouda. Again, this is applewood smoked Gouda. I think it'll complement this dish perfectly. We've already got a few smoked elements in that with that beef stock that I made. Again, I put those on my smoker. They went on the smoker from 225 degrees to 250 for about 2.5–3 hours. Putting it in the soap with water, trying to make a stock out of those, kind of dampen down that smokiness so you get a light hint, right, that complements that sweetness coming from those onions. So we're gonna see if we can get majority of this shredded. Smells good. I've tasted a piece of this. Again, that's another thing, folks. Taste your food. Taste your food, So that's how I know what the salt content is like. If it's good, if it's bad. Does it need some acidity? What else might it need? Taste your food, folks. Again, this is a bit of a different video than, what I normally present here on the channel. Usually, I'm out over that grill. However, I did still want to incorporate a bit of a smoky element to this. So that was done through the making of that smoky beef stock. It's not the first time I've made a smoky beef stock, but I do believe it's the first time I've done one on the channel. I like to make it, refrigerate it, or freeze it, so I have it on hand because it complements many of the dishes that I make. My croutons are in the oven right now. I'll be checking on those here. Alright, here are those beautiful onions. I'm going to do something a bit untraditional. So this meat that I actually made this beautiful beef stock out of, I don't want it to go to waste. So we got some excellent chunks of fat in there, along with those smoked pieces of, again, oxtail, ossobuco or beef shank, and beef short rib. We're gonna go in to our onions with some of this meat. Actually, I might do it all. Again, a bit untraditional. If you don't want it in yours, don't put it in yours. So now, let's get this out of the way. We're gonna give it a good mix. I'm currently just waiting on my croutons to come out of the oven. I'll give them a check here shortly. This is gonna go back on my stove. Again, the stove is off. I'm gonna put a top on it. You can see we still got some moisture coming out. That's fine. You don't want this to be totally or overly dry. Stay tuned. All right, we're back for the assembly. I've got my croutons. Just pulled them out of the oven. They are quite crispy. Let me get... They are crispy. You hear that? They're crispy. That's what you want. So I got my croutons here. I've got my onion and meat mixture here. And then so now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get some of this onion mixture into one of these casserole dishes. I see they actually have dishes made for French onion soup. I think I've seen one here before. Don't know where it's at. Alright. Gonna get that in there. Now, we're gonna get this other one filled. These onions really cook down a lot. So I can tell you now, they're still expressing some of the moisture in this pan. And that's fine. I've got the majority of the moisture out. That's what you want. There's a sweetness to these yellow onions after they've been caramelized and cooked down. The crust on top, I'm going to get that on there like that. Get another one in there. We should have more than enough. Let's see. Alright, we cover them with the cheese. I'm going to get this into my oven. I'm going 375. It'll stay in there probably for the next 15-20 minutes. And then we'll be ready to eat. It serves a few different purposes besides melting the cheese. We're going to make sure that we heat these dishes through. And then we're also going to make sure we melt the cheese. And we're going to make sure we have a cohesive bite, right? Other than that, this is how we're looking. Alright? I'll bring you guys back when I'm pulling these out of the oven. Stay tuned. Alright, welcome back. Here's our finished products. Again, this is French onion soup-ish, if you will. I made a few changes to the recipe along the way. One of the changes was adding that meat that I took away from the broth back into the actual onions, right? So, let's recap what we did. I made my own beef broth. That's beef pieces, oxtails, also bucco, which is a beef shank, or a portion of a beef shank, and some short ribs out on the smoker. They smoke for about 2.5–3 hours at 225, between 225 and 250 degrees. After the 3 hours, I pulled them off, got them into a pot, covered all the meat with water, let them simmer overnight. I went to sleep. I got up, I strained the mixture. This is the beef broth you want. Those proteins were chosen because the amount of collagen and fat that they have in it to make an excellent beef broth. Now, that was Friday night. So Saturday or Sunday, I got up, took my onions, go ahead and chop them down. I prepared my other items to make this delicious French onion soup. Some of the items I chose to use was fish sauce. I went with some white wine. I went with some vermouth. I also went with some salt and pepper. I went with some a bit of beef stock, both mine as well as both some of the Better Than Bouillon beef stock as well. We got those onions over the pan. Because we had a little bit over a dozen, a lot of water coming out first. Those alums have to sweat out first, then they start kind of frying, right? I went into that pan first with some butter to kind of help the process off, and then I hit them with some pink salt, not curing salt, but just regular pink salt to get those onions started. Now, the process of getting those onions simmered down took about an hour, a little bit over an hour, like an hour and 10 minutes total. The more onions you have, of course, the longer it's going to take. Those onions took on some great flavors, some great color. We got those sugars to the surface. After that, I made a game time decision, and I went ahead and added that meat that once helped us make this beef broth back into this onion mixture. So, you know, the title of this video will probably be French onion soup-ish, right? Other than that, let's cut into one of these and see what we have. Never made this before on my own, so let's see what we have. I actually have to go back and, you know, grate up some more cheese off camera. Let's see what we have. Oh yeah. So let's get in there. Got my knife. So these have been sitting out, cooling. Ooh, still hot. Know it's gonna be good. It smells good. Let's see what we got. So we just got those beautiful onions, that topping, along with a piece of that bread that I made. So I totally forgot to talk about that bread. I made that, but I normally make bread. We made some French bread, French baguettes. Can you see that? See those onions? Still a bit of moisture to them, but it's not overly moist. See what we got? It's really good. All right, it's still hot, but still really good. Here's what I taste. Those onions have picked up a bit more sweetness. You get the background of that vermouth and white wine. Still delicious. Those things have actually added some body and some exquisite flavor to this dish. The cheese is just there. However, the texture of the cheese with the softness of the bottom of that French bread, along with the top crispiness of the bread, is excellent. The texture in this, you got the nice creamy onions, sweet onions. There's a hint of smokiness from that stock, as well as putting that meat back in these onions. It's actually pretty good. Alright, so this is going to be my dinner tonight. If you haven't done so, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. I look forward to the next video and hearing you guys' thoughts. Be Smokehouse, out.